Alright, so before I begin this video, I first need to explain a couple of things. The first thing is that this is part 2 of my series about winning the 2v2 ladder tour. So if you haven't watched part 1 yet, I would recommend you watch it because it explains the tournament a bit better. The other thing is, this would originally be a 2-part series, but I'm making it a 3-part series, since otherwise the videos get way too long. The video I uploaded before this, part 1, was 25 minutes long, and that's just way too long. This is also my second take recording this, and when I finished the recording I saw it was like a 15-minute video for just this one set of games. So I thought that's probably the best duration or time to have it at. So at this point I can just go into the video, I guess. So I'm playing Despacito here. This was the opponent I was scared of the most, like easily, because his teams had a pretty decent matchup against my teams. Like, my teams don't really have anything for him. At least that's from what I saw at the time. And he's a pretty good player. He's also one of the better players, or the best players of 2v2 at the moment in my opinion. One thing to note, just as I said in part 1, I don't know any of these players at the time of playing, because I just started playing 2v2 a month prior to the tournament. But Despacito I kinda knew, because we played some games against each other before this, because we wanted to play this set of games earlier, but we weren't allowed, so we said, oh, you know what, then we just gonna play some games, but they're not for the tournament. So I kinda knew what he would bring, and his team style, and etc, so that's probably good to know. So this is game 1 of our set between me and Despacito. And here I bring the Genesect and the T-Tar, and he brings these two. And this was a really unfortunate matchup for me, because I don't really have anything for the Gastrodon, besides Rillaboom, which is a fine counter, but I knew for a fact he was gonna bring Talonflame, because that otherwise I can counter the Gastrodon way too easily, and my other Pokemon will form a big threat. So I couldn't bring Rillaboom, and Rillaboom also loses to Naganadel, and to the other Rillaboom, and it loses to Talonflame, so I just couldn't really bring it. Looking back at it, it was probably still the better lead, because I might have been able to fake out the Talonflame, and, well, you know, in combination with King Ghidorah, it would have gotten chipped, and it wouldn't have priority, and whatever. Either way, so I'm kind of forced to bring the Genesect as my only measure to counter the Gastrodon. And it also counters the Naganadel and the Rillaboom, so that was a pretty good lead overall for like the matchup. And I brought the King Ghidorah, the T-Tar, to counter the Talonflame and the Naganadel, right? Because I don't really have anything for the Talonflame besides Dracofish, but I can't bring Dracofish because of Fiddle Gastro. So that was a bit of a problem. So I was kind of forced into this lead. As you see, I do a pretty big chunk to the Gastrodon, but it's not really enough, it kills me, and then it's T-Tar versus Gastro. And Gastro will just stall me out. I have Recover, and then Stockpile, and the Berry, and then I just lose this. Let me skip through it, yeah. So he takes round 1, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna lose this, no! So we move on to round 2, and this is, I think at least, quite a funny story. So when we played each other, I noticed he really likes to use Regidrago. It's like one of his favorite Pokemon in 2v2, I believe. And he used like the Regidrago Whimsicott core quite a bit. And his Regidrago is timid, minus modest. So every time we played against each other and I brought Regidrago with Tailwind 2, he would outspeed me and kill me. So for this round, I put the Scarf on the Regidraco so I would guaranteed outspeed him. Which he wouldn't know, because he would think I would just be like Dragon Fang or whatever on it. So I thought that was a pretty clever tag. So we move in there. I kind of expect him to go with the Whimsicott Regidraco lead, which is basically the only like doable lead for him. He needs to bring Whimsicott as a counter to my Regiman, because the Gastrodon doesn't take the Regiman easily. Like, a Regiman just destroys the Gastrodon. So I knew he needed to bring Whimsicott. My Joey Salads, the Talonflame, will beat Whimsicott pretty easily. And he brings Salazzle for some reason, and I make kind of a weird play here, but hear me out. I Brave Bird the Whimsicott, because, as I said, my Regiman is Scarf. So as soon as I click Dragon Energy, I'm locked into that, and I lose to Whimsicott. And if the opponent predicts this, like, everything right, and he encores the Talonflame as soon as he sets up Tailwind, I lose. So go for Brave Bird instead into the Whimsicott. But it had a Goba Berry, and I thought, oh, this is like gonna Oko easily. But of course it doesn't with the Goba Berry, so I was, oh no, fuck. Is he gonna Tailwind and then like do whatever he needs to do? But for some reason he goes for fake tears. But I just kill the Celestial, so it doesn't really do anything. To be fair, he didn't know I was Scarf Regiman. So like, I get why he did it, but it makes it that I win this round, so that was pretty nice, pretty good. So I just kill it with a Brave Bird again. And I take this round. So we are 1-1 right now. And we move on to game 3. And the team I brought is kind of weird. This was originally a counter team meant for Adam, and it's not really a counter team. I just saw him lose to this team a couple of times. So I thought, you know what, maybe he associates it with a loss or something, and he just doesn't know what to do. I didn't bring it in the end, because I knew it was kind of shit. It still is kind of shit. I think with some reworks on it, and different sets, and maybe a different mon for one of the fossils, it can be a really good team. Because the Theraphorn is actually a really good Pokemon that is like criminally underused in 2v2. It's incredibly bulky, it can stall you out, but it can also put on a lot of offensive pressure. I guess its biggest problem is the Incineroar. That's something to know. In this game I lead off with the Dracofish and the Theraphorn. I need to bring Theraphorn for the Cresselia, because I have nothing else that can properly deal with it. Even Titar can't, because it will stall the Titar out with ease. But Theraphorn has Leech Seed, so that was kind of my big banking thing, or the Toxic, one of the two. It might have had both. You know what, it wouldn't surprise me if it had both moves. Either way, and oh yeah, I need to bring the Dracofish, of course, to kill the possible Incineroar. But he leads off with like the 2 Pokemon that I didn't account for. Like, I accounted for the Cresselia, I account for the Incineroar, but not for these 2. But it doesn't really matter. He protects for some reason with the Whimsicott, I don't really know why. Maybe he thought this would 2-hit KO and then he could kill the Theraphorn without having to sacrifice his Whimsicott for it, so it can kill the Dracofish. I guess that's the thought process behind this. I get pretty lucky, or like, not lucky, but not unfortunate is probably the way to say it. That Dracofish hits its Outrage on the other Dracofish, so that's pretty nice. But to be fair, like, why else would you run Outrage, right? Although probably Dragon Rush is a more consistent move. And from this point out, the Theraphorn can easily 1v on the Whimsicott. So I take this game. So I'm up 2-1 against Despacito. And now we go to the final. And this was kind of a this was kind of scary, because fun fact, this team here, it exists because of this team, right? or at least the core it uses, the Rillaboom Hawlucha core. For those who don't know, Hawlucha gets the ability Unburden, and that means as soon as it uses its item, it doubles in speed. So, Rillaboom activates Grassy Glide on Hawlucha, which makes Hawlucha +1 defense and doubles its speed. And Hawlucha is pretty scary then. Hawlucha is a strong mon. Sorry, I was just taking a sip of coffee. Either way. And my previous team, this one, gets beaten pretty easily by Hawlucha, right? Fighting move for the Titar, Acrobatics for the Rillaboom, Fire Punch for the Genesect, and he has the Rillaboom for my Dracofish. So this team, or at least the Volcanion, went over the Titar with a Grassy Seed, because that's a nice combination with my Rillaboom, and it counters the Rillaboom Hawlucha core pretty easily with Heat Wave and Steam Eruption. Like, unless I get crit or miss both Heat Waves. But he also brought Regieleki, which OHKOs my Volcanion. It has a pretty decent matchup against my team, because if it hits a Thunder, it OHKOs the Dracofish and the Genesect. On the other hand, my Rillaboom OHKOs the Regieleki with Grassy Glide, so that's good. I didn't really knew what he was gonna lead off with, but I thought the safest bet is just the Rillaboom Volcanion core. Volcanion most of the time deals with these type of teams, so that was my thought process behind this. He leads off with these two, and I didn't really knew what his plan was. But for me it looks like a pretty good lead, right? I have the Volcanion for the Rillaboom, and I have my Rillaboom for the Tapu Fini. It sadly has a Grassy Seed, but it is what it is. We tried fake outs here, so nothing really happens turn 1. And then he comes with this weird tactic I didn't really expect. Like, I do a lot on the Tapu Fini, but it soaks my Rillaboom. So I become a water type, and this is the moment that level 99 really bites me. Because Rillaboom, his Rillaboom, will outspeed my Rillaboom guaranteed now. And it will OHKO it because I'm a water type. So that was a bit of an... And I thought my Volcanion can't 1v1 Tapu Fini even at this HP, because in combination with a possible Nature's Madness, Protect and Grassy Terrain, it's not gonna end well for me. So, turn 3 kills he kills my Rillaboom. I kill his Rillaboom with Heat Wave. But then I see like the damage it does on Tapu Fini, 16%, so that was pretty like clear victory from there on. It tries to get a little bit of HP back. I Steam Eruption. Alright. Earth Power was probably the better play, but it isn't swag like Steam Eruption, you know? You gotta finish this series of games in style, with a little bit of the Steam Eruption, you know? Oh yeah. I left them hanging for my victory because I needed to flip my final. Either way, that's the third series of games this tournament. I only need to play one more, and that's the finals. So I will upload that probably like the same day I upload this video, but I won't promise anything. So yeah, this is my third victory this tournament. Next video will be my championship, or not championship, but like the finals. And something I forgot to mention in the last video. If you want to like talk about 2v2, or you want to join the community, or you want to like play against people, or do best of 5s like these, join the 2v2 Discord. I will leave a link down in the description in case you want to join and you are not joined yet, which I really recommend. Like, there are a lot of great players there, and they will very likely, like 99% sure, help you with building teams and playing against you, and it's a pretty nice community. It's one of the nicer Pokemon communities I've seen so far, and I've been around Pokemon for a long time, so that's saying something. Also something else, which I believe not a lot of people know, on Showdown itself you actually have a 2v2 room. So you can't really find it in this list. So you choose your username, then you go to join other room, and then you just type 2v2. It's pretty empty right now, as you can see, but it is a pretty nice room. They do some tournaments, stuff like, not tournaments I just showed you, but like those small room tournaments, and people are genuinely nice here. They can help you, or it's also pretty easy to find games here if you ask, does anyone want a BO5? Because everyone wants to play, because they can't find anyone on the ladder, so most games of 2v2 played will probably be tournament games or like games you ask for. So the 2v2 place and the 2v2 Discord are great places to find those, and you can find teams here. So that's also nice, you got a boatload of teams. So that's my tip if you want to like know more about 2v2. So this is part 2, and part 3 will be coming pretty soon, I'm sure. Right, so thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out the 2v2 Discord down below. Alright, see ya.